Today was day 8 of our time in Israel. We started by doing some more volunteering in the agricultural sector, this time on a tomato farm in the Elah Valley, the valley where David slew Goliath. This farm, like all others in Israel, is critically low on workers. More than half of their foreign workers left after October 7th, fearing for their safety. The remaining workers are doing as much as they can to ensure the crop, but they don't have enough hands. They are very thankful for any volunteers to come, both because they need the help and because the show of support is so meaningful for them. The person running the farm told us that whether you come for a week or for 30 minutes, any support you provide is deeply helpful and meaningful. If you do find yourself in Israel in the near future, there are lots of organizations that facilitate this type of volunteering. From there, we went to a site that I'm surprised I've never been to. With Jonah's interest, to say it mildly, in everything military, the Castel seems like something we would have already visited. Many of you would have seen the burnt-out military vehicles on the road to Jerusalem. Those vehicles were destroyed in the years leading up to 1948, one of the many convoys trying to get to Jerusalem to supply the 100,000 Jewish residents who were under siege from Arab forces. The road to Jerusalem was controlled by a strategic hilltop called the Castel. This has been a critical hilltop since Crusader times. Ben Gurion was tired of always being on the defensive and decided to go on the offense. And he launched Operation Nachshon to take the Castel and open the road to Jerusalem. The hill changed hands several times in April of 1948, eventually being controlled by Israel, which it held ever since. The site is much like Ammunition Hill, with trenches and bunkers, giving you a sense of what the fighting was like, but that was only part of the amazing story. What makes the Castel so important is that it was one of the key battles that forged the philosophy of what would become the IDF. After Israel captured the hill, the Arabs counterattacked. 70 Israeli fighters against a wave of 1,500 Arab fighters. There was no way Israel could hold the hill, and the commander ordered retreat. But retreating down the hill against a force that size would have been suicide. They would have gotten slaughtered. So some fighters needed to stay at the top of the hill and provide cover fire for those retreating. But that was a death sentence. Who would stay behind? The commander gave the order for all privates to retreat down the hill while the commanders stayed to provide cover fire. This is a core tenet of the IDF to this day. The IDF doesn't use privates to cover the retreat of the commanders. The commanders take responsibility for those under their command and will sacrifice themselves for the sake of the unit. That's why when the IDF releases names of those killed in action, you hear so many higher ranking soldiers. May all of them righteous memories be a blessing. During our time at the Castel, we met many groups of soldiers fresh out of Gaza who came as a group before returning home to remind themselves of what they're fighting for. On our way back to our bus, we walked past 3 buses full of soldiers visiting the site as part of their service. Seeing the 150 plus soldiers, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Yemeni, soldiers whose parents and grandparents were born in Israel and ones who just made Aliyah, soldiers whose family were from Iraq, Morocco, India, Ethiopia, all standing shoulder to shoulder protecting Israel. In the words of one of the soldiers, seeing us here at the same time they were here reminds them that they're not only fighting for Medinat Yisrael, but also for Am Yisrael. Not just fighting for a country, but for a nation. After lunch at a local mall, we visited Ein Rafah, an Arab village outside of Jerusalem, to understand how everything going on is impacting Israel's Arab citizens. This village was the home of our amazing bus driver, Sammy. Sammy has nephews currently serving in the IDF and fighting in Gaza. Residents of this village have been citizens of Israel since 1948. I'm not going to lie, it was a difficult hour, and it's going to take me some time to process what I heard. I'll try to make an addendum video in a few days once I do, but for now, let me just say, I didn't leave that meeting full of optimism. This was the end of our formal activities for the day, and we were dropped off at Ben Yehuda, not for shopping, but for supporting the Israeli economy. In the evening, we went to the Kotel and then dinner at Manila Mall. Amazing end to an amazing day. I'll close with today's Counting from Darkness to Light initiative. Today is the 228th day, which is 7 months, 1 week, and 6 days in the darkness. May it be God's will that our loved ones be protected and rescued from those seeking to harm them, and may they return quickly to their homes and families in peace and health. Amen. That's all for now. With love from Israel, Am Yisro El Chai.